Today is Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. The time is now 6:40, and we will call the regular meeting of the Westport School Committee to order. Under MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded on March 28th, 2025. Governor Healy signed into law a bill which extends the temporary provisions pertaining to the open meeting law to June 30th, 2027. Specifically, this further extension allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the public body physically present at a meeting location, and to provide adequate and alternative access to remote meetings. The language does not make any substantive changes to the open meeting law other than extending the expiration date of the temporary provisions regarding remote meetings from March 31st, 2025 to June 30th, 2027. And with that, I'll ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And thank you all for joining us and packing into the conference room this evening, as the auditorium is booked. At this time, we'll have an opportunity for comments and statements from the public. Any comments from the public at this time? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to our informational agenda, and we will begin with our student representatives. Mr. Key, take it away.
All right, good afternoon, all school committee members in attendance. I just have a little bit of news to share with you about the high school. First off, the third term is quickly coming to an end, and report cards will be available on the community portal by the end of the day on Monday, April 13th. Next Tuesday, April 14th, is a half day for students, and students at the Westport Middle High School will be dismissed at 11 a.m. Spring vacation is right around the corner and will start on Monday, April 20th, Patriots Day, and students will return to school on Monday, April 27th. MCAS testing is in full swing across the district. Grades 5 and 6 took English MCAS last week, and grades 7 and 8 will finish taking it tomorrow. Grade 10 will have MCAS testing for math on May 20th and 21st, and grade 9 biology testing will take place on June 2nd and 3rd. The Westport High School Student Council, Advocates, and RISE are sponsoring the 3rd annual Jaden Arujo Memorial Scholarship Fund bowling fundraiser. This will take place this coming Sunday, April 12th from 4 to 6 p.m. Registration closed yesterday, and we're hoping for a great turnout. The Junior Class Student Council will be hosting a game night next Wednesday, April 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. Admission will be $5, and please spread the news and come support our student body. Excitement and anticipation is building as the Westport Drama Club is rehearsing for their performance of Hadestown. The show will open on Friday, May 8th at 7 p.m., and there will be 2 performances on Saturday, May 9th at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. And the final performance will be Sunday, May 10th at 2 p.m. Tickets are already available to purchase on Zeffy.com, and you can look for the link on the Westport Music Boosters Facebook page. Please come out to support and enjoy this incredible show. And also save the date, the Westport High School Junior and Senior Prom will take place on Friday, May 15th at the Fall River Country Club. Stay tuned for more information and watch out for permission slips to purchase tickets. Now for some news concerning sports. Spring sports are underway, and all of our teams are starting play with great enthusiasm and dedication. First off, boys varsity baseball is currently 0-2 and had a home game today against Southeastern Regional Folk Tech, which was 5-2. The Wildcat Classic Spring Baseball Tournament will take place on Tuesday, April 21st to the 23rd. Our Wildcats will play Wareham on Tuesday, April 21st at 11 a.m. Boys varsity lacrosse is 0-4, and their next home game will take place this Friday, April 10th against Old Colony Regional Folk Tech. Girls varsity softball has had some amazing highlights for the start of their season, and the record is currently 1-2. They played at home today against South Shore Technical High School, which they won 21-9. Their next home game will be on Monday, April 13th against Diamond. Girls varsity tennis is off to an exciting start, and the record is 1-2. They won their match on Monday in a sweep against Joseph Case, and their next home match is this Thursday at 3:30 against Wareham. Boys varsity tennis has started with an amazing record of 2-1. They kicked off their season with a sweep against Seekonk High School. Their next home match will take place on Tuesday, April 14th at 3:30 against Tiverton High School. We're very excited for all of our upcoming games and matches and appreciate the support from all of those who attend and cheer on our athletes. Go Wildcats.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Most appreciate any questions, comments from the committee. All right, hearing none, we'll move on. Thank you very much, good sir. And again, sorry about shutting you out, shutting the door on you for the executive session, but thank you very much. All right, so next up on the informational agenda is the superintendent report. Dr. Roy, take it away.
Okay, just to update the committee on, we had a power surge yesterday, which knocked out internet and phones. The internet is back up, the phones are back up at the West and the Mac, but the phones are not back up here. We have a backup plan where we've hardwired good old-fashioned phones into the wall. So we're getting that message out to parents. The issue was a controller, so a piece of hardware for the phone system got damaged, and I believe this happened in the past. The good news is we've already been, before this happened, we've been working towards a cloud-based version of our phone system so that this won't happen. So we're not housing the hardware can't get damaged here. That will start next year. The other thing I want to alert the committee and the public to is that I did send out a letter and a small survey to parents on social media and digital usage, because as we know, even I think it's today, the House was voting on a proposal to ban cell phones and as well as not allow any child under 14 to be able to access a social media platform. So we're also feeling the impact of digital media, screen time on kids, and how it is negatively impacting them. So I have a letter out to parents with some resources for parents, as well as a short survey to see what the parent and student needs are, so that we can continue to support our families. I'd also want to report, if you have not seen it, the trophy cases are almost, they're getting there. We don't have quite all the glasses in, but the trophy cases, we want to thank Diamond for their partnership, for building them. They look beautiful across from the auditorium, behind the gym. If you have not seen them, please go take a look. And we've got some trophies in there already, so we're getting there. The Westport, we are in full swing. Thanks for the coordination of our principals and Ms. Hargraves with the Westport 250th committee. We have a couple of things going on. One is going to happen in front of the high school here on April 30th, a reenactment of the Abner Brown Well ride. It's like Paul Revere. There wasn't just a Paul Revere. There was someone who actually rode on his horse right by here. And so there's a reenactment that I know our middle school is participating with. The West team, they have their own committee to honor us for Honor America for the 250th. They have a work in progress called a timeline, a historical timeline. And so in West Fashion, they're going to be learning about history while they also develop this parade that will be through the decades and around the school. So they're working on that. And I think Japanese exchange program, I had a chance to pop in to the assembly. I had not seen that before. That was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about the Japanese students. So it's nice to see them integrated here. And so kudos to Ms. Charette and is it Mr. Manes?
Mr. Manes.
That is doing that, as well as we have our DC trip, the 8th grade DC trip,
Yes.
April 28th. I believe Ms. Simpers knows all about that. And, yeah, and is it who's running that? Is it Mr. Persico or?
Mrs. Soroy and Mr. Persico.
Yes, so thank you for them. I love all this experiential learning that our kids are able to get, so, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments from the committee at this time?
No, just bringing up trips, they're also going to be traveling to South Korea too. I know
Oh,
my
that's right,
daughter's
South
going,
Korea,
so
yes.
that's
that
a
one.
big trip
That's
too.
amazing, right?
Yeah.
What a great opportunity.
And I did just want to follow up one thing. See, the phones, as everyone knows, have been a continual issue with this. So it's your intention to bring in this cloud-based system here soon?
It is,
later?
it'll be
Okay.
fully in swing in June. By the end of June,
Excellent.
it will be cloud-based, but just so people do know, if the internet does go down momentarily, the phone system does go down with it. But soon as the internet comes back up, the phone system comes right back on. Here, what happened was the main controller that's in this building, when we had a circuit surge over here, it blew out the controller. and that kind of took our phone system out. So we have a new one being shipped out tonight, but we've made arrangements with across the school to have extra walkie-talkies. People have cell phones, we've got some old-fashioned Batman phones, as we call them, and have put them in, attached to our fax machine lines to be able to have access to call in and out of, so.
Excellent. All right, thank you.
Just one other question too for Dr. Roy. The calendar for this year, has there been any discussion with the snow days and the additional days? I don't know if that's what I was looking to see if there's any place else on the agenda that this may come up again. Because I know Rhode Island got a waiver
Yeah.
for,
Yeah, I think I mentioned in my update last.
Yeah, I just didn't know if
Last
there-
month. We get out June 24th. We do not qualify for the waiver according to Massachusetts criteria. So our staff and our students will be here till the 24th.
then my follow-up question is the curriculum going to follow those days too? I mean, meaning, by extending the school year, there's programs that are going on that kids are now, and I'm speaking basically on behalf of my own daughter. She has some class programs that start right after that, basically that extra week, which is now going to cause a problem for going forward. I guess my question was, or would be, is there a way that we can keep the original format, but just have those extra days just tacked on at the end? Meaning like their finals and stuff won't be affected, or?
So I think in those individual cases, you're probably best off just talking directly to the school
Okay.
about that, because that's, every kid might be a little bit differently how this is impacting them.
No, that's what I was saying. I just didn't know if this has ever been done, or if how that would work, if.
Yeah, I mean, the commissioner is clear that we need to meet our 900 hours of instructional time in our 180 days.
Yeah.
So
no.
that's been very clear, that's what he's coming down from. And so going to the 24th, we will meet that.
Okay.
All right, excellent. So, thank you again. Hearing nothing further from the committee on this item, we'll move to the curriculum director report. So, Ms. Hargraves, take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As Ryan. Oh, sorry about that. Good evening, everyone. As Ryan King mentioned, MCAS testing is in full swing, not only at the middle school and high school, but at the elementary school. So grade 4 has been doing some MCAS testing. Their testing was impacted by that power outage. Testing started, it had just started, and then everything went down, so we had to suspend testing for the day, and then start it back up today, and then provide a makeup day on Friday. But students did an amazing job. They just rolled with it, and I think it was just a blip on the radar for them. Next week will be grade 3 MCAS testing as well. I'm excited to let you all know that Westport has been selected to receive nearly $25,000 in a grant from the 1-8 Foundation. I mentioned at my last update that we received a grant from the 1-8 Foundation to support the implementation of the Democratic Knowledge Project for grade 8. Now we have a second grant that will allow our 5th through 7th grade teachers to participate in a similar professional learning cohort program over the course of 3 years. They'll be provided professional development, individual implementation support, and an ongoing cohort model. And this will be focused on implementing the Investigating History Magnify program. And it will bring more high-quality applied learning to our students in Westport, and will connect really well to the 8th grade programming. So we're excited about that opportunity for our teachers and our students. We are hard at work getting our vacation math camp planned. We have 33 students who have decided to attend that math camp. It runs Tuesday through Friday over April vacation. The hours of it will be 8 to 12. Students will engage in a variety of center-based activities as well as some STEM exploration activities with the goal of increasing or maintaining math skills, and deepening student understanding of math concepts while learning that math can be a lot of fun. So, should be a good time. I'm also excited to be able to celebrate the official induction of our students to our Innovation Career Pathways programming. You may have received an email from me inviting you to attend our induction ceremony, so hopefully you'll be able to carve out some time in your busy schedules to join us. This has been a multi-year endeavor for Westport and a lot of hard work by many individuals to get the Innovation Career Pathways up and running. But here we are. We've got 4 students enrolled in our advanced manufacturing pathway and 20 students enrolled in our healthcare and social assisting pathway. We also have 5 who are kind of in the process, so a potential of 5 more students to be enrolled for this year. Of those students, 2 are actually in 8th grade, which is really exciting to know that this is impacting our middle schoolers coming up into the high school, and it's a really great opportunity for them. And we hope to see you Friday, April 17th for that induction ceremony. Finally, our Professional Development Day on May 7th. It's our final one for the year. We are centering that day on a simple but powerful idea that Dr. Roy has articulated very well on many occasions. She's been heard to say that the community is our classroom. And so we're embracing that, and we are creating opportunities for our staff to connect with people, places, and programs that make Westport and our surrounding area distinct. So on May 7th, teachers will engage in some field-based experiences with partners including the Westport Land Trust, Westport Watershed Alliance, Westport Historical Society, the Buzzards Bay Coalition, and the New Bedford Fishing Heritage Center, as well as some others that we're still working to finalize. The goal of this is to light a spark for our teachers, to deepen our teachers' own connection to this community, so they can in turn bring those roots into the classroom and help students see that their education is not confined to the 4 walls here, but is woven into the very place they call home. So we're really excited about it, finishing off the school year with that professional development for our teachers. And that's it.
Excellent, excellent. Any, I do believe I'll be able to be at the ceremony on Friday, so hope we can have others join us as well. Any comments, questions from the committee at this time? All right, thank you, Ms. Hargraves.
Thank you.
Moving on now, we'll have the business manager report. Mr. Poza.
I have nothing new to report. I know that we are going to be speaking with Mr. Gendro a little later on in the agenda, so we will wait
for
until
budget
then.
time. All right,
Yes.
excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. So we'll move now to committee liaison reports. Mr. Melnick, anything to report?
Nothing to report this time.
Okay. Mr. Chico?
Cable Advisory Board, we were actually scheduled to meet tonight, and then the school committee ended up tonight, so we pushed it to 2 weeks from tonight. So Cable Advisory Board on the 22nd of April. We have not met since our last school committee meeting, so no updates.
All right, thank you. Ms. Hampers, any updates?
Nothing to report. Our building committee meeting was moved the last time, so.
Understood. Okay. And so actually, I guess I'm not the school committee rep on the audit committee. I serve on the audit committee, but I'll let you take that, Mr.
Right.
Gentro. Go right
So
ahead.
there's 2 things. One, the audit committee met, so our audit for the town is, Anthony Roselli is the consultant that the town works for to perform our outside audits. The last few years, there's been a lot of progress made in the accounting office and the treasurer's office in town. And, the audit identified no material weaknesses or deficiencies, which is good to hear. The audit report should be available on the town's website. If it's not, it will be soon, and it'll also be presented at a full select board meeting in the upcoming months. They produced to us what's called a governance letter, and in that identifies some items for the town to keep an eye on. We perform better than some towns in some areas, and there are obviously still some improvements that they recommended that we make in some areas. There has been progress. The last report identified some outstanding balances in warrant articles from years ago and similar circumstances, but I know the accountant and the treasurer have worked hard to address those, so that's just the high-level overview, but that'll be presented in more detail at an upcoming select board meeting. The other is the school building committee. Also, recently met. We met on the 31st of March and went over a few items. So a couple of things that we looked at was the denitrification system. So there's an issue that's, and I want to thank also Kim Willett and Paul Poulin for all their continued efforts on these items, because there's still some stuff to go through. But there was talk of replacing the wood chips with stone because of some issues that are happening as a result of the wood chips that are there. We discussed the trophy case installation, which the superintendent discussed earlier, and then some outstanding items with Gale Associates, which is our consultant for the roof. So that was the latest update. We'll be, I think, meeting again in the next maybe month or two, and then I'll give an update to the committee then. We're working diligently towards closeout, hopefully sometime soon. We're working to, help get some punch list items addressed. There's been discussion on what's left in the bond, in the authorization for the building project, so I'm sure that'll be coming up as we look to close out the project officially. So that's all I had.
Excellent, thank you. And just to follow up on that, thank you to everyone who continues to work on the rather long punch list that we've been going through for many years. But it does look like that the closeout is coming sooner rather than later. So thanks again for everybody for their work on the school building committee. So with that, we'll move on to the next item on our informational agenda, which is to acknowledge the Westport Community Schools bill warrant for March 20th, 2026 in the amount of $248,739.40. as well as the warrant dated on April 3rd, 2026, in the amount of $254,626.94. Any comment statements on the warrants? All right, hearing none, we'll consider those acknowledged. We'll now move on to the Athletics and Fields report. And that will be Ms. Morris, our athletic director, and Mr. Poulin.
Mr. Poulin, would you like to come over this way?
You just pull up a chair.
I'll let him sit here.
Oh, you can just pull up a chair right there. I'll take yours.
I don't mind.
No? You can have that one. Is it a question, or am I supposed to just do a report?
Oh, I think we're just, I think
General
it's
updates.
just had a general updates, and I know that this was a requested agenda item just to go over some of the, I think there were questions on the coaching lineup for spring sports, and if there, any other
Yep,
things
all
to
spring
report
sport
on?
coaches have been hired. We are off into the about almost 2.5 weeks into the spring season. As Ryan reported, our teams are everybody's trying to shake it out. We haven't really had a lot of games, a lot of rescheduling, but we're out there, and I just want to commend Paul and his crew. We got the baseball field and the softball field up and running, and with a lot of new material, and they're probably in the best. The baseball field looks the best it's ever been, I think, since it probably was installed, or before that ever. And same thing with the softball field, and because of the conditioner that Paul put on the softball field, it's not. There's a couple of low-lying spots, but it's now you don't walk in and it's not just sludge. So it's looking, it's a lot better. Even with a little bit of rain, it doesn't affect it as much. So, yeah, that's what I have for the field. But
Mr. Poulin, do you want to give a little bit of overview about what the issues that you had with the?
Yeah, so basically, the baseball field, we did a complete overhaul. We brought in like 35 tons of material. We cut in all the diamonds, opened up the base paths because grass was just encroaching for not being maintained like the 100% the right way, and it might need that every few years or so. But now it's going to be easier for us to maintain going forward. Now that we have all the new material down, the conditioner mixed in with the field, we rebuilt the mound back to specifications, and we did the same with the softball field, recutting everything. We didn't bring material in for that, but it'd probably be a later project that we get done later. That one didn't need as much material, so.
Understood. And just to I guess circle back a little bit. So there were some issues with the fields at the beginning of the year that have been, I just wanted to commend all the work that you've been doing to remedy that. I
Thank
know
you.
originally there was concern that we would have to have many different, outside field consultants
Mhm.
taking care of all of this all the time, and it seems like that you've been able to cover a whole lot
Thank you.
in-house, and that
Yep.
makes a huge difference, and yeah, it does. I concur, it looks better than I think it has ever since this, this building's been.
Thanks, I
open for
appreciate it.
sure, So,
Mm.
absolutely.
That's good.
Any comment statements?
Yeah, I just think coaching wise, it seems like multiple seasons that we're like right up against like the season and, still having to fill positions. I don't know if strategy wise it makes sense or what's done currently or if we need to try to post earlier. Again, I see things on social media and parents are asking and things of like, season starts Monday, do we have a coach yet? And again, not on the varsity level, but on the lower levels. And I know those are typically can be sometimes revolving doors and they're tough to fill. But just some concerns there. And then fields, I was out there today and they do look great. And, again, you can't predict 2 feet of snow or 3 feet of snow and everything else that's there. But again, publicly, we get reports and things of like, all right, we're not playing on them. Okay, they're soft. I get that, whatever. But then like the bleachers were still in the middle of the baseball field like last week and things like that. So, I think just for us and to, minimize concerns, I think a lot of times the perception and the, people driving by, like how do you play baseball with bleachers from field hockey still in the middle of the field. Some of those things, get thrown at us and don't necessarily look good. In the end, the finished product looks great. So, great job there. But I think there are still some concerns that we see or hear of that we don't necessarily have answers for.
To address first the coaching situation, that was the spring coaches were posted in easily December, I believe.
Awesome.
Or maybe even before that, November or December. We had a lot of shifting around the break. I got word that 2 of my softball coaches were not coming back at February break. We had some shifting within the baseball program with, again, somebody not coming back and that had applied and I accepted them in the system. And then it was really difficult to fill one of the baseball positions. So that was at the 11th hour. Luckily, Mike Fernandez helped get a guy, and he's been absolutely amazing. And so I think we're in really good position. I'm probably posting the spring sports in the next couple of weeks. The fall sports in the next couple of weeks. So last year we posted the fall sports at the end of May, beginning of June. I'm looking to do that at the beginning of May because we have positions we need to be filled. And I think most of them are coming back, but there are 2 that we need to fill. And then, winter is usually posted sometime in the summer. So try to get ahead of it as much as I can. I've had a lot of conversations, unfortunately. Everybody in the state at our conference a couple weeks ago was talking about the lack of coaches or people that are willing to coach at the high school level, whether it's a time management thing as far as getting out in time for school, or it's just lack of wanting to deal with parents, to be fair, and things like that. And it was a topic of discussion for sure. It is becoming more increasingly difficult, but we'll do our best to try to get the best people we possibly can. And I think we have a great group right now working with our spring athletes.
Thank you. Ms. Sampras, you have your hand up?
Hi, and I apologize for not being in person. I feel terrible. I didn't want to get everybody sick. It was kind of hard to hear when Paul was talking, but so this is now our 4th year in this building, 5th year, and it never seems like we can start a season on the fields, again, knowing we had 3 feet of snow and all of that, but I thought that all the work in the fall with this outside company and paying this outside company was to prep so that we could start the seasons on the fields, like at the start of the season with the scheduled games and all of that. And, you know, my comments are kind of coming from a place of like I have kids playing lacrosse, and I noticed, you know, their first lacrosse home game, which was Friday, March 30th or 31st, whatever the date was. And there was baseball practice scheduled, but because they play in the middle of the two baseball fields, like baseball couldn't practice because they were supposed to be at the old high school and not at the new school where the fields are. So just want to get a sense for like, you know, what the challenges are. Do we think we have it rectified? Are we ever, from the start of the season, going to be able to use the fields designed for the sports in that season?
Well, it's a couple of things. One, it's very different when you're talking about, like, the work that they did in the fall was to the grass areas. It wasn't to the
That was
infields.
because the sprinkler was,
Right, the sprinkler
not
system was
working,
broken,
so
and
a lot of grass died.
Yeah, and so the infield, can you hear okay? Okay, just wanted to make sure. So this is, the work we did at the fields here was the infield surface, which, you know, is mud. So if you can't really play baseball or softball if you're stepping and you're sinking in, you know, 3 or 4 inches. It's not safe. It's the ball won't move, and you're gonna just ruin the surface. So regardless of like us bringing in new material and everything else, like we've continuously, since the fields were built, or like at least when I've been here, when we've started to use the fields in 2024 for the first time, the material it's either concrete when it was dry or sludge when it was wet. And there wasn't really a lot of in between, except for on dry days when we could resurface it. So it's been a work in progress. I think, like I said at the beginning, I think the work that Paul has done and we've done this spring will hopefully continuously adding different types of material to the material that we have, I think will make the surface stronger, more playable, more absorbent for when we have inclement weather. As far as the lacrosse and baseball situation, that is an ongoing issue. Lacrosse was added here without a real regulation size field. So I think the first year they played on the old field hockey field on the side, which is not a regulation length or width. So when I got here, I took the space that was the old soccer field, and I said, this is a varsity sport. It should be played in the proper dimensions. And so I put it there. So it is a challenge with middle school and sometimes JV practices that they have to either practice on one of the softball fields if softball's not there, which also have the ability to move the bases so they are in the same distance over there, or they maybe do fly balls on the practice field hockey field. They go in the batting cage inside the building. So there's a lot of shuffling with those teams as far as where they are and what they're doing. And our coaches just do the best to make it work. But on game days for lacrosse, that lacrosse varsity team becomes a priority. So that's just what we have to do until, you know, we find a surface that lacrosse can play on over here. Eventually, that'd be the ideal situation. But for now, we have to shuffle and make the best of that situation.
And as for getting the fields ready, like on time and everything, it is weather dependent because we did have all that snow, and then the season starts. They wanted to have like some of the fields that we got ready down at the old high school ready for this March 16th, and the snow. We barely had like 2 days where the snow melted, and then so just to have an area for them to even practice was kind of a big deal just to get that done. And then, like I said, and then we had material here, but that was just not usable. So we worked right up until we worked late days that we could actually get out there, and then then it was just raining every other day. So it's kind of hard to when we have things set, but if the weather doesn't cooperate, it's kind of difficult. But we do have a field management plan and set in place now. So going forward, it will be taking care of the best way that it can now. So,
Is there a plan for maintenance of the old high school fields?
so we have we cut them all in to this March before March 16th, and we spread some material that was there. We do need to do more work with those fields, but like I said, we're kind of managing, getting them out to practice, and then getting these fields ready over here, and then we are gonna do more work over there, though. Yes.
Just like another question / comment. I know, Ms. Morris, I think it's great you mentioned like having the full-size field, right? Has there been any thought, like we did for soccer, moving lacrosse to the baseball field to play on the full-size field so that two teams could still potentially practice at the old high school if there is a lacrosse home game? That way it's not disrupting the practices and, work that needs to be done for those teams, because we're taking basically both outfields for.
It would be an outfield. You'd be displacing somebody at any point in time. The way our fields are structured right now, the field hockey field is the outfield of baseball. The soccer field is the outfield of softball. So you would be displacing any of those teams to practice at any point in time.
So there's 2 fields for softball and 2 fields, full-size diamonds at the old high school, so couldn't you utilize those while field hockey or lacrosse or whatever is going on in the outfield at the other field at the high school?
Yeah, I think what she's saying is you're eliminating 2 baseball fields by having 1 lacrosse game, whereas if you played lacrosse in an outfield here, you'd lose 1 baseball or softball field wherever it
Well,
is.
we're really
but
only
gain 2
losing
over there.
one field, which is the JV / middle school. Technically, it is a JV / middle school field, which right now, JV and varsity, because our numbers are low, are actually practicing and they're overlapping their practice here at the high school. So really only middle school baseball is supposed to be using that field. From this point forward, now that this field, as of today, is back online, here, the baseball field here, JV and varsity baseball, unless there's like severe weather where the field doesn't hold up, we will send them over there. But right now, the only team that is going to utilize the field over there is middle school baseball. The other field that used to be the old JV field hasn't really been online. It doesn't drain, so unless
We're well aware from our baseball days.
yeah, unless there's like several days of dryness. I think they were able to use it once so far this year. Literally, probably since I've been here in 2023, I've seen that field not a puddle, like a lake where literally ducks and swans have been in it, maybe 2 or 3 times. So, that field is offline. So we're really not even utilizing that field. And so this is kind of the best case scenario. I would love to I looked at it from a logistics standpoint as far as game schedules and things like that. Also the size of the field and lining it and everything else here for lacrosse. Right now, I don't think it's like a feasible model. But
And then I know we used to use for field hockey, like the 177 fields. Has that been explored? I'm just trying to figure out the ways that we can get our kids the most time on fields for real live work. Because as Brian kind of mentioned, we're a little struggling as it relates to our athletics and keeping up with the competitive teams in our district. So I'm curious too if that was explored at all. Since we're already busing kids anyway, have we looked into the 177 fields to not displace teams?
last year when we were exploring and uncertain as to what was going to happen to the old high school, and obviously that is still kind of a question mark, is what is going to happen to that property. We did explore it. A lot of the feedback I got on those, are you talking about the baseball and softball fields that they've created?
That wide open field too, that potentially lacrosse could play at, because as you know, that outfield's in.
Right.
It's so bumpy in the ball.
Yeah, I have you been on that field? I haven't been on it in a year or so, but it was pretty much a hay pasture. So I don't know if they've done anything. Have you been on it?
Oh, yeah. It's actually in good shape.
Okay, it's in.
There's irrigation there.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, it could be a possibility. It's just a matter of trying to get that as a rental, and do we have to create more money for that to happen? But it's a possibility. We've only explored, because when we explored it, that field wasn't really operational. I know I was over there when like a youth field hockey thing was going on back in 2023 and 24, and it wasn't I didn't think it was a playable surface for a varsity sport, but if they've done more work to it, potentially. We were talking about the baseball and softball fields, which I don't know if they're quite the size that we're looking for some of our teams, maybe for middle school.
And then I just, again, sorry to like monopolize all this, but this is like something that's very near and dear to me. I was an athlete through college, and I just want to make sure that our kids are getting like the best experience. And I think it was a little challenging to start the spring season with communication. Again, this is not a criticism. This is like coming from a place of like, I just want the best for our teams and our kids. And it was so fluid, obviously, because of the challenges we were having with the weather. And that whole first week for tryouts, it was like pouring rain, and we had just gotten over 3 feet of snow and all of that. But we were a little challenged with like getting the information. And I didn't, speak from what I heard, but from what I know, from my experience. And I will also preface this by saying Tyler is great. Like, my kids love him, great. But it was a little challenging. Like, I went into tryouts for lacrosse not knowing, like, okay, are we doing 3 days of tryouts and then practice are starting? Like, how do we know if the kids are making the team? Is everyone making the team? Like, that wasn't really very well communicated. And then there was a challenge, like, leaving Monday night for the very first. It was at, in the gym. Do my kids need to bring their stuff to school tomorrow? Are we practicing at the school? Is it back at night? And so, like, I was unclear if I'm sending them with their stuff. Am I going to have to drop their stuff off midday? Like, things weren't posted in the app, and I know we were referring families to the app, but things weren't in the app. So, and I don't know if in years past, I thought we did like a spring meeting to kind of prep so that we could ask questions and that kind of thing, and I don't think that happened this year. So I'm just curious, like, I know we want coaches using the app, which is a great way to communicate, but it wasn't necessarily being utilized, so then I'm trying to reach out to you, I'm trying to reach out to Tyler, I'm trying to reach out to other parents to see if they know what's going on. So I think it was, a little confusing for the kids and the families when they were trying to figure out like where they're supposed to be. Are we bringing their stuff to school? I mean, my son plays and has a 6-foot long pole that I didn't necessarily want him bringing on the bus every day if he didn't have to. So I'm just curious about, like, did you get that feedback? Like, what kind of changes are we making to make sure that the communication works well for our families? Because our goal, right, is to like get these kids to want to participate in athletics, but also stay in our district, right?
Yeah, I really pretty much have gotten about maybe 3 questions or complaints about communication. I try to, our coaches are all adults, and they're given the app. I ask them. Some are incredible. Matt Camper every week, I encourage them. I show them samples every week, every Sunday. He lays out the week, what's going to happen, when the bus is leaving, what days they have games, and things like that. Other coaches, I have to continuously encourage and recommend. And what I find is some of them, as soon as I make a change, they're on it and they put it in, and then others don't. So then I have to recognize it. And with a lot of moving parts, it's sometimes difficult for me to get on myself to see who's done it and who hasn't. And I try to put out like everybody. I think the communication as far as the tryouts, that's pretty standard. The first 3 days, that's in our handbook. That's everything. If it was like who selected, that's a question for the coach and that communication. I will say too, a lot of the onus should kind of go on some of our athletes sometimes, because when I talk to the coaches, 95% of the time, the coach is explaining what's going on the next day at the end of practice. And a lot of the 2 complaints or 3 complaints I've received is the kid wasn't paying attention and didn't relay that information back to their parents. And so when it was explicitly stated that we're going to be here tomorrow, or baseball's going to be at the old high school for the rest of the week because our field will not be playable probably until at least next week, that was explicitly stated on several occasions. And it's just, getting that information back. So if we're looking at, maybe our middle school teams, but any of our varsity teams, if you're 8th grade or higher, that really, because before the communication app, that was the communication, right? And so, but I had another conversation with our coaches yesterday about it because we had a mishap, and I'm like, this is not what we want to do. So I instilled the app a few years ago, and again, I think it works tremendously, but, now everybody's relying on it. So when you don't get that one piece of information, that can be a problem. But I think a good chunk of our coaches use it very well, and we'll continue to enforce it. And I'll continue to harp on making sure that it is crystal clear.
Has there been any thought to doing like a spring meeting like there was?
Oh, so the meeting situation, what I found was I did it for 2 years, and what I found was like fall, I get a ton of people. And then winter, there's, so say, fall, there's over 200 kids that register for, so if you take even 30% of the people will actually show up, still a good chunk of people filling the auditorium. With 100 kids in the winter, you're maybe getting 25 families, and then they've kind of heard a lot of the same information. So I was literally looking at a few people. So it really wasn't worth it, I felt, to do it in the winter. I did it in the spring again. By the time a lot of our athletes play multiple sports, so by the time I got to the spring, even though we still have like 100 and, last year we had 150, this year we had about 138 registrations. I just was like, I don't think that I'm going to get I kept seeing the spring was tapered down because they already heard it, and so they already kind of knew. So I didn't do it. And so what I do, and I don't think anybody really opens it and reads it, is I send the same slideshow that I would present with all of the same information. It had when practices were, it had everything in it. In the email that I attach it to, I give all of the same information of what's happening, when our practice times are, when tryouts are, blah, blah, blah. And then I proceed to get several emails about when it is, because people just don't read their emails, unfortunately. So, I think I'm still moving forward, going to do in all sports. My idea is to just do an all sports one in the fall. That's what as I ask other colleagues, that's what a lot of people are doing. So in the fall, you just do a kickoff and get anybody who wants to come. You try to get as many coaches there as you can for meet and greets and things like that, and then go from there. So.
Just one on the sports U thing, and I know it is a great tool. And to me, I'm sure, and I'm probably speaking for everybody here, we want to support you and that, and it seems like you've made it a non-negotiable, which is awesome, with your coaches. So the coaches need to know that it's non-negotiable, because so many people are on that and paying attention to it. And as you said, when there is a miscommunication or whatever, then if you're going to get the complaint, not necessarily the coaches. So, again, just in an evaluation tool and everything else that you do with your job and your coaches, you've made it a non-negotiable, it sounds like, and we want to support you with that. Because there's so many moving parts. There's so many kids over a span of 8 grades and multiple teams. So it really is relied on by everyone. So it's a great tool, and it really does work well.
Yeah, I have some that use it.
All the time, but when it's not in the app, that's when I'm like, oh God, what am I doing? Where are we going?
Right, and a lot of things, some coaches put the practice schedule in there, and then others don't. I can't physically do it for them, but and some are giving drills, like Matt Camper's giving drills and ideas or video clips from different things. Like some are very into it, and others I can't get them to just say practice is changed to indoors, or we just want to use the batting cages, so we're inside. So I get it, and I've been yelling and screaming a lot this spring about it, just to get a couple people to really, take it on. But, and again, and some, I think I have a lot of my middle school sports where I encourage them, they do a great job of, like, as they're coming back from an away game, to make sure, 'cause, those kids definitely don't have cars. They're like, hey, ETA is, 6:35, because, be there at the school for pickup. And so some are fantastic with it, and so work in progress.
The thing that I can think of that I have, and I actually talked with Dr. Roy about this. So like tonight, we're gonna review the school calendar and kind of approve it for next year. Like there was a couple of examples in the fall, again, because my kids played soccer, where we had a half day and they had a soccer game after school on a half day.
Yeah.
And so like for working parents, they can't stay at school, there's no bus to take them from school to their game, so then we're scrambling to like figure out where we can get how we can get our kids to a game on a half day when there's no transportation provided. So as opposed to like me showing up at 3:30 for the start of the game, I now have to get my kid there for like 2:30 or 2:45
No,
on a half day.
yeah, I
because
understand.
there's no transportation provided. So is there a way, and I think tennis has this issue with a half day coming up where there's a game because it was supposed to be a no school day, and now it's a half day, and there's like a tennis match next Tuesday, I want to say, Ryan said. So like maybe just a FYI, or is it possible, like when we are kind of working with other districts to schedule these things, can we look at our school calendar to see if it's a no school day or a half school day, especially at the middle school level, or even like JV where these kids can't drive themselves places, to kind of put some thought into like maybe we can't have a game or a match on a day where it's a half day because there may be a challenge getting the athletes there.
Yeah, I do my best to try to move the games, but there's only so many dates on the calendar that you can actually play games, or when we are sharing facilities, or there's if like soccer, if you're on JV soccer and you're playing, varsity and JV, everybody travels together. And so a lot of times what I found is, especially a lot of the teams we have in our league and in the district, if we cancel a JV game, a lot of them don't want to make up that JV game. And so I can't really separate a JV game because I have to play a varsity game, but we have to get the varsity games in. Scheduling is, we are, as a league, unlike a lot of other leagues, because of the way our league is structured with only 4, now 5 other teams in the league. If we have a 20-game schedule with some of our sports, I have to find, a lot of times 12 to, 10 to 12 other games. As opposed to if you're in South Shore Conference, you're finding maybe 4 other games. And there's a league schedule that's created. So when you're trying to fit in games against area opponents that are in a different conference, their conference schedule is locked in. And so to fit games into around those other conference schedules and to put our games in there, I have to get games when I get games. And I see Jay shaking his head because he knows the turmoil of that. So you gotta try to get games when you can get games. And if it's a day of a half day, it has to be a day of a half day. But ideally, and then with the middle schools, we're given a league schedule. You try to move them around. I try to move it around as much as I possibly can, and some you just can't find a date that matches. And so, you still try to not have games on Fridays. That's kind of our league policy in the middle school. And so it's sometimes becomes really difficult without having 3 or 4 games in a week, which you still have to reserve for inclement weather and things like that. So I do my best. Next Tuesday we're going to have several. They're not the only ones that are going to end up playing on that day, but the spring is super tight. It is a super tight season, especially with the weather. As it is, if we have to reschedule games going forward, we're going to be playing a lot of 4-game weeks at this point, and we're probably going to start to have to play on the weekends. So if the weather continues to act like the way it has, everybody's in the same boat across the state. So we tried our best. But I understand. I take note. I look at it every season. I have the calendar in front of me. As I do it, I mark off dates. This season, to be fair, right now, I'm trying to avoid prom. So I've had to, move and reschedule games because honestly, prom's always been on a Saturday, and this year it's on a Friday. I try to, move around games for senior, class trip. And there's, a handful of other things. Not try to have games on awards night. Not try to have, there's just so many dates. There's plays that you try to avoid when there's major plays happening. So there's only so many dates in the season. So you got to try to fit it in.
All right. Hearing nothing else from the committee at this time, I just want to say thank you both for joining us this evening, and we'll move on to the next agenda item.
Thank you.
Appreciate all
thank
the work
you.
I appreciate all the work on the physical condition of the fields too, because
Thank you. Thank you very
I know
much.
were dealt less than an ideal product. So,
Thanks.
Excellent, thank you very much. So we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which will be a discussion of the volunteer requirements. Continued discussion here, Ms. Charette. Thank you
Sure.
for joining
Well,
us.
good evening, everybody. So I want to start with an update because this is the first year that the community service hours are a graduation requirement. So for the class of 2026. So I collected some data for you. We have 71 seniors graduating this year. Of the 71 seniors, 24 students have completed their hours. That means we have documentation that 20 hours have been done. 5 students have completed some hours. So not yet at the 20, but more than 0. And 42 seniors have 0 documented hours. So that, of course, is concerning. So what have we been doing to promote this? Emails go out almost every single day with volunteer opportunities, either in the local community or Fall River, New Bedford, etc. Some of our students are going to be participating in math camp and collecting some hours. Some of them, I'm assuming it's just because they haven't turned in their forms. So it's making sure that they know in order for those hours to count, we need to have the documentation. Mrs. Ruel and I are meeting with the seniors one day next week before vacation to again remind them that this is a graduation requirement. And we are going to game plan for seniors that do not have hours done by their last day of school, which will then require them to return the week before graduation, which are days they typically have off. And we will provide them opportunities during the school day for them to get some of those hours done. So before I move on to the updated graduation requirement document, does anybody have any questions regarding the class of 2026?
Well, I think it's great, and I think it's great that you're thinking about that and the kids that, we don't want to hold back or whatever, and giving them opportunities. Because, like you said, there are plenty, certainly over break and then at the end of the year, when seniors should technically be out, but it's a way to make them fulfill that commitment still. That's awesome.
Thank you. Okay, so if we take a look at this document, I just wanted to add more information so that there was some clarity regarding what does the graduation requirement of community service hours mean. So we are defining the parameters as they need 20 hours by the time that they graduate. But to avoid the issue that we're having with the class of 2026, we're really encouraging students moving forward to try to document 5 hours a year because that feels far more manageable than 20 hours total. So counselors, when they go into classrooms or they're doing their small group meetings in the Career Center, they're really promoting that. You can submit hours as early as freshman year. You can leave freshman year with all 20 hours done, and you're good to go. You check that box off. The other thing that we were finding is that students sometimes just don't know what community service hours are. They think taking out the trash at their house counts as time, but we want to clear it up that it doesn't. And so we wanted to give them a list of, here's where your hours could come from, and here's where your hours cannot come from. This document also provides them a link to the form that they should be using to monitor all of their hours. Again, we'll remind them that this form needs to get turned into their respective guidance counselors for tracking purposes. And then some questions came up over the spring specifically around hours as they connect to NHS and STEEL, which are two service groups within our school. And so this document just provides clarity on how many hours can count for both. So if this is all well and good, it will go into our program of studies and then ultimately make its way into the student handbook. So happy to answer any questions about this.
My only question, and of course, obviously the emails that were received were from members of those clubs, is the thought process or the rationale behind why just those two clubs are separate or different than the others. And I think I know some of it,
Sure.
and I know that they do a lot of that work, but it is, to me, it's community service, and why they're a little bit different.
Sure. So I want to make it clear for this year, the students could use all of the hours from those particular groups. So that addressed some of the concerns that had popped up in emails from students and parents. I always have to think with like my equity hat. So organizations like STEEL and National Honor Society are selective organizations. Not everybody has access to participate in those. So for that, I think there has to be some differentiation in the hours that can count. Additionally, STEEL stands for Students That Exemplify Extraordinary Leadership. These are our kiddos who are going above and beyond. So I think it makes sense to maybe hold them to a little bit higher of a standard in completing some of the hours. For National Honor Society, it's even easier because they need hours to get into that organization. It's just the hours that are required to be part of that group once you're in it. To also go back to STEEL, something that I forget to mention is that part of this too is having students take the responsibility on their own to find community service opportunities. And in that club, I'm not sure if that's always happening. I think sometimes they bring ideas to the table, but there's limitations on where they can go. So that was the rationale and justification. But I want to make it clear that some of it can count towards both. It was just that 5-hour differentiation.
So this is the first class this class has had all 4 years to complete.
Correct. So
Because
this
it was like a phased-in kind of.
It was a phased-in process, and this was something that was brought to the table before I took over both of the buildings, which was 3 years ago now. So these kiddos have known that this was coming and have had reminders. And I know we had discussions last year about some of the concerns that I had in terms of students getting these opportunities, but we're willing to work with them and provide in-house hours so that they can still walk and get their diploma.
I'm not sure if you guys are currently in communication with the Council on Aging, but I'm sure they would love to have students there.
Yes, and
Yeah, okay.
whenever we get opportunities from the Council of Aging, bam, goes right out to our kiddos.
Great.
Yes.
Question, for stuff that they can't do, like unpaid work for a family member, i.e. chores or work for a family business. What if it's not a family business? Or is
Well,
it-
if it's not a family business, and they're not getting paid, I think there could be discussion on what they're doing, and then we could
Yeah.
clarify if whether or not it could count. Yes.
No, I'm just
I'm
wondering,
just
like-
talking about like you got to go take your dog for a walk,
No, I
like
understand
that's
what-
that kind of stuff.
No, I was just trying to figure out, if there were some local businesses that in town, because it's all kind of community,
100%. Let's say there was a landscaping company in town that was looking for kiddos to volunteer and do work. Yes, those hours would certainly count.
Okay, that's what I was.
There's a town cleanup on Saturday, Brent, send the kids.
Yes.
About to say, the cleanup
Already going.
at
Yes.
Westport is on Saturday.
There's a yard cleanup at my house if anybody wants the address.
And the food pantry's starting their planting for their garden on Sundays, apparently.
Yes.
So there's possibly some hours there, too.
And so, the expectation is that this would be submitted as this is not a separate policy, this would be part of the handbook.
Yes.
going forward, is that correct?
Yeah, more so the program of studies because that's where we outline the graduation requirements. I also like to put it in the handbook just as an additional reminder for kiddos, but that's where it would go.
Okay, excellent.
So what happens, so there's like a lot of students that haven't started yet, that are in the class of 2026. Like what happens if they don't do this is new to me, so I'm curious, like if they don't do community service hours, they can't graduate?
Well, they're going to have the opportunity to do those hours the week that they're off in between the last day of school for seniors and graduation on May 30th. So our goal is absolutely to get them in at that time, and hopefully it will become a moot point. But unfortunately, we have had circumstances in the past where some students may have to go to summer school for one course and they would do an August graduation. And because this is a graduation requirement, we might have to look to that. But I'm going to do my hardest to ensure that that is not the case, that the 71 seniors that are set to graduate are going to be walking the stage on May 30th.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Ms. Charette.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes.
Have a good
Informed on
night.
this. You as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to our next agenda on the informational agenda, which would be the out-of-school time handbook. So, Mr. Forrest, come on in.
Ladies, have a seat. Yep. So I'm going to introduce the two ladies here in front of us. So we have Karen Tavares on this side. She is the new director of the Out-of-School Time program. She was hired in October. She comes with 15 years of experience in the field of early childhood education. Graduated from Bridgewater State University with her bachelor's degree in early education and care and special ed inclusive studies. She also is an EEC certified as a teacher, Director 1, Director 2, Lead Teacher Preschool, and Lead Teacher Infant Toddler. Then we have Tanya Kamara over here, who is the Program Coordinator. She was hired in November of 2025. She comes with 20 years of experience in the field of early childhood education. She graduated from Bristol Community College with an associate's degree in early childhood education. She has her EEC certification, director certification. She's also a lifelong resident of Westport and has graduated from Westport schools, and her children now attend Westport Community Schools. Yes, circle of life. So they are going to kind of give you a little bit of an update. They bring before you the OST handbook, the revisions for next school year. And there's just a few of them, but they're also going to give you a little rundown of, we've had a couple of audits in between, relicensing visits, and I'm going to let Karen start off and just kind of review. We can send you the document that was done afterwards if you want, but she's just going to kind of give you a little update.
Hi, everybody. So the out-of-school program currently operates at 2 separate locations. We employ 14 staff members altogether, including myself as the director, Tanya as program coordinator. We also have a site coordinator and 11 group leaders. 3 of those group leaders actually are teacher assistants that work over at the West as well. So our morning program is run at the elementary school, and we primarily use the cafeteria area. We also do utilize the gym when we're able to. And currently, we have 38 children enrolled in the morning program with 4 staff members usually on daily. The program provides a cereal breakfast every single day, and students that go over to the Macomber School get bused there around 8:15 in the morning. The afternoon program is currently operated inside of the Old High School. Our typical hours of operation are between 3 and 5:30. On school vacation days, we are open for full days, which is 8 to 4:30. And then we are also open for most of the half days for the school. So on those days, our hours of operation are going to be from 12 to 4:30. So the afternoon snack for the afternoons, we do provide a snack daily, and on the full days, parents are required to pack a lunch. So the afternoon program, as of right now, we have about 65 students enrolled. Students get bused to us over from the elementary school and the Macomber School. We have classrooms designated to each grade from kindergarten up until grade 4. And we do also at this time have 1 preschooler enrolled, and they are in the kindergarten classroom. All other children are school-aged. The afternoon program, basically we have various activities that we offer to the children every single day. We have an art room that we utilize for different types of crafts and activities, as well as different STEM activities. We offer free play in classrooms. We do organized games and play in the gym. We utilize the outdoor playground areas as well. We also have been recently coordinating with the Westport Land Trust Organization, and they've been coming in for visits with our students as well. Since my time arriving at the OST program, I have implemented the use of an app called Brightwheel. So Brightwheel is basically an app for early childhood head centers, and it offers us the opportunity to be able to communicate back and forth with parents. We can send them pictures and videos and updates throughout the day, and we are also currently using it for attendance tracking. My goal is for the beginning of the summer program to begin using a feature on it for tuition payments. So tuition tracking will be directly on the app. It'll make parents being able to pay a lot easier because everything will be on there. Invoices will be sent out usually on a Friday, and parents will have until the following Monday to pay them. Let me see. Overall, the usage of the app has been going very well. Parents like having the open communication. They like getting the updates. We've gotten really great feedback so far, and parents are also very excited to be able to use the tuition payment feature on the app. So a few things that I wanted to adjust from the handbook, I did highlight in there, so I can go through it page by page. So the page numbers are on the top right corner, and we are going to start on page 2. So I do have highlighted some of the adjustments that I wanted to make. The first is going to be, I want to implement a $25 registration fee. So this registration fee is going to basically hold the child's slot to begin for the new school year program. It's common practice amongst most child care centers, so we're hoping to implement that, and we're also hoping to apply those registration fees to get some new school year materials for the classrooms and for the children. So that's usually a period during the year where we have to buy lots of paper, lots of art materials, and that'll help go towards that. We're also hoping to have students and families pick set schedules. Very common practice, again, amongst child care centers. We do have a couple of families that don't have set schedules, and it causes a lot of difficulties with staffing and ratios because we do have to abide by a certain teacher to student ratio. And if we have kids just popping in, it messes with that, and that we're not going by EEC regulations. So I did offer an option that if parents are unable to basically set schedule for their children, that they can have a sort of drop-in agreement, so they can reach out to administration beforehand and say, hey, do you have room on this day? Can my child add for the day? If we have room, we'll definitely make the accommodation to have them add. If we don't, then they unfortunately can't come for that day. And then on the next page is page 7. So on page 7, hours of operation for early release days are going to be from 12 to 4:30, and I also would like to implement the cost of the half days being a little bit more. As of right now, the half day program is the same as the regular school year programs. We are open for an extra 2 hours during the half day programs, so I wanted to increase it from 30 to 45 just to basically accommodate that extra 2 hours that we're providing services and paying staff.
Can I just ask, what are the oldest kids that attend?
So we go up to 4th graders.
Okay,
So we have kindergarten to 4th graders, and then we do have one preschooler.
Thank you.
All right, and then the final changes would be on page 11. So as I stated before, my goal is hopefully to get Brightwheel all set up and going for as far as tuition payments for the summer program. So as of right now, the banking and routing numbers are already all set in the system. It's just a matter of putting in the payment plans for parents and getting it up and going for the summer program. We also want to implement a $10 late fee. That Brightwheel has a feature that it can automatically be applied. We do have some families that struggle with paying tuition payments on time, and we want to try to avoid that. So we're hoping that by implementing a late fee, it'll kind of enforce making sure that tuition payments are getting paid on time, because we're a self-sustaining program, and when families aren't paying, then the income's not coming to the program. So we want to have tuition to be due to the program regardless of children's attendance. As of right now, the program, parents are only paying if their child arrives for the day. Common practice amongst the child care field is that you pay for your child's slot regardless if they attend or not, because we do have the issue where we have a child enrolled full-time, they're only coming 1 to 2 times a month, and then all those other days the child's not arriving, so we're not receiving income for that slot that we're holding for the child. Let me see. And then, but what we do want to do to kind of like help with that is that We will not charge families for days that we're closed, whether it be weather, whether it be for the winter break, or whether they be absent because of an after-school program over at the West or the Matt Gumber School. But what will not be waived is if a child's out sick or if they're just taking off a day just because, those days will still have to be paid. And we are going to have tuition waived for family trips and vacations up to 2 weeks. Because I know there were a few families that had asked me, oh, we're taking a summer trip for like a week. Can that not be paid? And my decision, along with Michelle, we were discussing it, and we thought that 2 weeks would be sufficient. That can be waived, that parents can use those times. And then any longer than that, then there'll be a $50 holding fee to continue to hold the slot. And that is it. Any questions?
Well, thank you first, and welcome.
Thank you.
So I think the changes are thoughtful. I think they're responsive to some challenges and
Yeah.
concerns that I've had. I know that it's a self-sustaining revolving
Yeah.
account, but, you know, from a predictability standpoint, it's tough if you're in a position where you don't know if the revenue's coming in, if it's
Yeah.
a daily payment, you don't know if that can cover staff, and you still have to
Yep.
cover other expenses. So I think that the set scheduling will give you some predictability, which is
Yes.
helpful. I know that's, some months are better than others, and that will probably help with that. So I appreciate the thoughtfulness that went into that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo that. I've had some concerns on how the payment structure has been in the
Yeah.
in the past, and I really appreciate the efforts gone into kind of fixing some of these issues. I just want to clarify a couple things. So first
Yes.
of all, via Brightwheel,
Yes.
the app. So is there a fee associated with paying on the app?
Yes, there is a small fee. There is, I don't know the percentage off the top of my head. I can't get back to you on that, but I do
But
know it's probably like up to like $1 or so.
Okay, but to
Yeah.
be clear,
Yes.
checks are still accepted. So
Yes,
there's
checks
a-
will still be accepted, yes.
Okay. So the second question regarding the holding fee. So is that a $50 holding fee per week, or is that a $58 holding fee just to hold the
So
slot?
after the 2 weeks of, the
After 2, yeah.
of the family vacation, they have up to 2 weeks. After that, it's just $50 flat rate to hold the slot.
Okay.
Because I know
gotcha.
that we did have like a family that they were out for a month, so the 2 weeks were covered, then after that, the $50 holding fee would cover the remainder of the weeks.
Okay, and again, that goes toward just trying to figure out the predictability. of it.
Yes.
Right, okay, right, excellent. No, again, I really appreciate the effort that's gone into making these changes, because I think, it's a great program. It's very, very helpful to families in Westport. I am glad to see that predictability is going to be there now.
Yes.
Because that has always been a question of mine, because I know
Yes.
it is not common practice to do a daily.
Yes,
daily
yeah.
tally. So this is good. And also, so you mentioned, is it Brightwheel that you're also using to keep track of attendance now? Is
Yes,
that-
yep.
Okay, so it's a kind of all.
Yep,
Okay.
so on Brightwheel, it's broken down by classrooms, and teachers have the availability on the app to be able to sign in a child, sign them out, and parents also get that notification so they know what room their child is in at all times.
Excellent. All right. Excellent. So I know you said 38 in the morning, 65 in the afternoons. Would you consider that capacity at this point, or is there?
So the morning is operating at full capacity. The afternoon, we can have hold up to 90 children, but we just don't have the staffing to accommodate that at this time.
Well, that's
Yes.
my question.
Mhm, yes.
So in theory, it could.
So in
be-
theory,
it
yes.
could be extended, but right now.
Yes, right now we're maxed out.
Perfect. Okay. All right.
Have there
excellent.
been, like, other positions posted that they're just recruitment challenges, or?
As of right now, we don't have any positions posted. It was kind of like me coming into like the program. I didn't want to change anything too drastic too quickly, so it was me getting like accustomed to the staff that we currently have. And then I have hired a couple of TAs, but we do have them more so as floaters as of right now. The summer program, depending on the enrollment, I know we do have a pretty extensive wait list right now for the summer program. I'm hoping within like the next couple weeks or so to see what I have for staffing wise, and then if I need to open that up for more staff, so that way we can enroll more children in the summer program.
All right. Excellent.
I just got a, so the morning class, the morning session, goes from, what was the times?
It's 7 to 8:30.
7 to 8:30. And then, so those employees then leave?
Yes,
And
yep.
then some may come back for
Yes.
the afternoon session?
Yes, so we do have a couple that will come in again for the afternoon. A lot of them are college students, so they honestly go to their own classes during the middle of the day, and then they come back, they go to the former high school for the afternoon program.
And so then like the full-time staff, yourself and
Mm-hmm.
the program directors and stuff, that's a full-time 8 to 5 job or
Yes.
something like that?
Yeah, I work 8 hours daily, so 40 hours a week, and Tanya usually works 6 hours daily.
Okay. And what are those hours? Just curious.
My hours vary day to day, so I do like to pop into the morning program at least twice a week. So then I'll do like a 7 to 3:30 type of shift sometimes, or I'll go to the OST program and I'll do like a 9 to 5:30. So I'm there to the afternoon as well. So my schedule varies, but it's depending on like if I'm needed in the morning or if I'm needed more so in the afternoon.
I guess my question was, is there a supervisor on?
Yes.
Somebody at all times?
Yes, always. Yes. So either myself or Tanya is always there for the afternoon, and then we actually have a site coordinator. So site coordinators are able to open and they're able to close. So at this time, usually the site coordinator is the person who's supervising the morning.
Okay.
The last question that I had was just to make sure, are these changes going to be communicated even now as
Yes.
opposed to, okay, so just making sure that
Yes.
it's not gonna be any surprises come, because in theory, would these policies begin with the summer program?
Yes.
Okay, so, so that'd be, as long as it shouldn't come as a surprise when it.
Yes, yes, and I have been openly communicating with all the families, so they do know these changes are coming, and I did let them know that we'd be bringing it up to the school committee, and that once it gets approval by you guys, then we will implement them into the program.
And Karen has actually, Karen and Tanya have spent a lot of time, like, teaching the families how to use Brightwheel, because it is an app on their phone as well, so a lot of them, we tried to transition them into a whole different method where they can use, we got iPads for them so that they can actually sign the students in when they come, they sign the parents out when they leave. I think it helps with scheduling too.
Yep.
There's like a lot of different options for it, but it is a great program. Like they were saying, they can put photos on there of the kids for the day and
Nice, okay.
whatnot,
And
so.
also just, I guess, being able to track the data is a little.
Yes,
little
yeah,
Yes,
and it puts
definitely.
everything collectively in one place rather than having a bunch of unnecessary paperwork.
Understood.
How has the parent reception been so far? From what
Parents
you've
really love
communicated?
Brightwheel. They definitely, like, we've gotten a lot of compliments on them, just like loving that we're being able to communicate more efficiently, because email, like outside of work hours, like we're not always checking our email, and even throughout the day, like if we step away from our computers, we're not getting an email right away, whereas Brightwheel, we're getting as a notification right to the tablets that each staff member has, so we're able to get it right then and there, and then we can communicate back and forth with them.
Just one quick thought on the holding fee. It may be, I think, too drastically or whatever, but would it make sense to add an additional sentence with a maximum length of the holding fee?
That's something
Just
that we
a
could-
thought
yeah.
of, like,
No, it's definitely
Right,
something.
paid the
they'll only
$50
hold the
fee.
Program up to 2 weeks or something. or-
Right,
yeah.
or, you know,
Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
September comes around and we're taking off for September, yeah, here's your $50 fee, and then they don't
And then they come back.
come back
Yep,
until
then we can
January, and they say,
definitely
yeah, but I
implement
paid the $50.
that.
like,
Yes, nope. That
Just
definitely
again, in
makes
terms
sense.
of staffing and
Yep.
things like that.
And I would say probably maybe a little longer. I mean, I know, I guess 2 weeks and 2 weeks, close to a month, but, you know, I want to give the flexibility,
Yes.
you know, for parents, but at the same time, yeah, the predictability, I do agree it should not necessarily be open-ended just
Yes.
because. So, Fred, did you have something?
Yeah, I'm unfortunately not as familiar with this program as I would like to be, but, since it's self-sufficient, is it basically, if you can afford to do it, you can be in it, or is there a, you know, for families that are struggling, and, you know, and obviously with times like now, you know, everything's up in cost. You know, I'm just kind of concerned that if they're late, there's going to be a $10 fee, and those $10 fees per week, now you're looking at $40. You may start being detrimental to families than try and make sure that you're being, you're collecting the money. I mean, if we're going week to week with our budget for this program, just to think how some of these families might be going week to week with their own budgets. And, you know, I'm just concerned that if somebody misses a payment, that these $10 fees start racking up. I mean, it's kind of like a late fee with your checking account.
Yeah.
You hate to see that $35, you know, and then almost 2 more things is posted, and now it's, I mean, that's a little more drastic, but, you know, it's kind of the same feeling here if people are missing and they're already struggling.
Yeah, I think the
So-
program's been very lenient with this.
Okay.
Like, we've there's been some families that have been behind a couple of months, and it does start to pose an issue at that point for the revolving account. It's not a program that makes like 80,000 a year. You know, we probably maybe 20,000 a year, but it's self-supporting. All of their salaries come out of the revolving account, nothing comes out of the general budget. So the program basically just pays for itself. But one of the things I think intention of this is not necessarily to hurt people, but to
No,
kind of like, there's a few every so often. So we're dealing with a few parents now that we're trying, you know, work with them, like what can we do to,
Okay.
you know, help with this? We try not to just cut people off immediately and be like, nope, you didn't pay. Either you're out of the program or you know, can't pay.
Gotcha.
They do have opportunities.
With
so-
us being certified under EEC, we do also accept PACE vouchers. So a PACE voucher is basically for a family where they may be struggling, depending on where they are financially, they can apply for a PACE voucher through EEC. And if they get approved, the voucher comes to me, and that basically covers a portion, if not all, the tuition rate. So families do have the option to apply for that.
Do you happen to have offhand the number of PACE vouchers? that
I
you have?
currently have, I believe it's like about 10 students who are currently on PACE vouchers.
Okay, so it's.
And I believe their tuition rates are going up as well for their
Yes,
reimbursement,
so,
correct?
yes, so PACE pays us a certain portion depending on what the state rates are at that time. So their rates are going to be going up within like this next month as well.
One of the difficult parts right now with the vouchers, there's like a huge like waiting
Wait
list.
list, yeah, to get onto
So
vouchers.
some people have been waiting for like 2 years to get on the PACE voucher. So it is very difficult for that piece of it, I think. I think we probably would have a lot more families participating if they knew that they could access the voucher piece of it. It's not something we have control over. They have to apply through EEC, and then they get on a waiting list, and then they wait for, and it could be up to 2 years before they even see acceptance for that. And then again, it's difficult for, I mean, we're very lucky, like, these ladies are very lucky, and we're very lucky as a district because we have a lot of students that are either Westport students that have come back and are in college and work at 7 o'clock in the morning, leave at 8:15, go to college for the day, then they come back again in the afternoon. It's a tough position to fill. 'Cause it's not even like a mother hours or father hours job. Like, that's the time you need to be home with your kids to get them ready for school, get them off the bus. So this is something that's almost more difficult.
What are the requirements for staff, like age-wise, college?
So age-wise, we usually have them to be like at least 18. So as of right now, I think our youngest staff member is 19 years old. So the requirements are basically, it is a very entry-level position. So they have to complete EEC Essentials training, which is basically just a training amongst like the field, how to interact with students, what are the basics to the EEC regulations. So they need to complete that. First aid training, get a background check, those types of things. And then if all that goes through, then they're able to start the program.
We got 50 students that are going to be looking for volunteer time. So that's the
And
reason
when she was mentioning that, I was actually thinking, I was like, oh, it would be an opportunity that they could volunteer with the out of school time
they're 18
program.
and
Yes.
come-
We've had quite a few seniors that have come back.
An affordable way for parents to be able to drop their kids off early, but then also they get bused, like, because there was no option for after school. Like, think about the Macumber. It was getting out for preschool specifically at 2 p.m. So the idea was like, this is an affordable way for families to be able to know that they had care coverage for their little ones through the Westport district.
Right. In a familiar surrounding, and surrounding that they're used to being in all day long, so it definitely keeps that.
Not like designed to be a moneymaker, but designed to be
Correct.
something
Right.
in
Right.
itself, so that we have an option for families, because a lot of places won't pick their kid up and bring them to after-school care.
Correct.
All right, excellent. So I appreciate all
Thank you.
the effort that's gone into this, and welcome. A little late now, but
I know.
welcome aboard.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you both.
So at this time, I will entertain a motion from our action agenda to act on approving this handbook with the caveat that a time certain date be added in to the voucher hold.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote, and we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Melnick.
Aye, Fred Melnick.
Aye, Jason Pacheco.
Ms. Andrews. And I, Christopher Thrasher, and that is approved. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks, you too. You too.
Excellent. Moving on, the next item on our
Good job,
agenda
ladies.
is the fiscal year 2027 budget update. I'm going to turn this over to Vice Chair, Mr. Gendro. Please take it away.
Okay, so we started out, after our diligent budget process internally in the district. We then handed over our recommended budget to the Select Board. After we approved our recommendation, the Select Board took a look at it. They came in with their recommended number, which originally was $24,744,332. That was their recommendation. We had some discussions with the town administrator and between myself, the town administrator, Michelle and Fran, on how we can work to get that closer. So the number, I think from what we initially think we're at, did get a little closer, but we were looking for a little bit more. And so that number was approved by the Select Board. So it then went to the Finance Committee. And after some discussions with the Finance Committee, that number is now, and the number that will be printed in the town meeting warrant is $24,824,332. So that number does not include the $80,000 for the device upgrades that we originally had in our budget request, but that's getting paid for through a separate warrant article from free cash. So that'll be separate from the operating budget. This number is also $80,000 higher than the Select Board's number, which means that based on both the back out of the Chromebooks and the devices out of the operating budget, and looking at our recommended budget that this committee approved, this would support, obviously this is subject to approval after the town meeting approves the final budget, but this will be printed in the warrant. So with this number, we can support all of our contractual obligations and our anticipated increases to existing line items. This will also support, the priorities of this committee were the social studies position because of the enrollment. There was higher class sizes in that particular department, and also the career pathways. So this budget would support both of those, in addition to meeting all of our contractual obligations. So over the last few Finance Committee meetings, I spoke and advocated for this number because I think this is a responsible number. We have to live within the constraints of the town budget. We're limited by Prop 2.5. We're limited by the limited new growth in town. So we know where we have to stay. So this number, in addition to doing all that, also reduces our free cash from last year. So it's a reduction in the free cash allocation, I believe by $50,000. It's gone down. So that's kind of the trajectory that the Finance Committee, the Select Board, and I think where our goals have been expressed to be too. So I think this number checks a lot of boxes. It I think does right by the district. It meets the needs that we have right now while living within the revenue constraints that we have as a town and recognizing the needs of our other departments to provide services for our residents. So I'm proud of this, and I again want to thank the business department, Michelle, Fran, Holly was involved in those discussions, and the building leaders for their work on this and informing us on their requests and priorities. As I mentioned, I spoke at the last few Select Board meetings on this, and it took a little while to get to this point, but I certainly want to thank the Select Board for their diligence in looking at this, the town administrator for his communication with us, and the Finance Committee, of course, for their approval of this. There wasn't really much pushback, which I think is great. I think we clearly, as a committee in our presentation to the Finance Committee and in subsequent meetings afterwards, outlined the need for this, and so I think the Finance Committee recognized that. So I'm appreciative of their support of this, and proud of this number. Just on a procedural note, this is obviously subject to the approval of town meeting, but that is the number that will be printed in the warrant. So when they read off the Finance Committee's recommendations for the overall town budget, this will be part of it. And then within that overall number, this committee has purview to decide kind of where that's spent. So we'll take another look at this after the number's approved, but that's where it's at right now. So just wanted to give the committee an update on that and thank everyone for their efforts.
Thank you for your efforts.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So I just would like to say thank you to everyone who has been a part of this process. This is the culmination of a very, very long process, as was mentioned, between the business department, the building leaders, school committee. I would be remiss if I did not extend a sincere thanks and gratitude to Mr. Gendro. His efforts, both at meetings and behind the scenes, to make sure that a reasonable and responsible number got approved by the finance committee has been, I have to say, we would not be where we are, and we would not be looking at a town meeting with a budget that is going to allow us to serve the needs of our district were it not for the efforts of Mr. Gendro. And I just want everybody to understand just how much work he put into making sure that this budget is going to serve the needs of the district. So thank you very much for your efforts, good sir.
Thank you.
And again, this, like I said, culmination of a long effort. The town meeting, just so everyone is aware, is on May the 5th, where the final budget will be voted on. So again, thanks to everyone. Anything further from the committee members on this topic?
I actually have one more thing. So that if you remember from our approved recommended budget, there were 3 service delivery increases that were part of that. One was the social studies, one was career pathways. The other was a support position, a student support position. So the intent of that was to be at least partially funded with opioid settlement funds money. So if that opportunity arises over the next year, where that committee meets and they're granting requests, then we can certainly reopen that discussion. But so I just wanted to note that wasn't just left out, that the intent is to continue pursuing that with the opioid fund settlement advisory committee. So that conversation hasn't stalled as well. And I'll also note, as part of this town meeting, in addition to the operating budget, there's a capital budget that was approved, that's going to be approved. So we have a number of items on there totaling almost $1 million to address some capital needs that we have as a district. So that's a separate warrant article that'll be approved as part of a larger article for all capital needs across town departments, but I just wanted to note that as well. So.
All right, anything further from the committee on this topic? All right, hearing none, thank you again, and we'll move on to the next item on our agenda is a discussion on the campground site, and Mr. Gendro, I'm going to turn this over to you as well.
Okay. So as probably you all know, the old high school, in addition to the old high school discussion kind of being in limbo at the moment, there's also there's been a need in the past for fields, but I think a more pertinent need is certainly with the traffic flow. We've seen issues with that. We've probably all heard it. I know I have from residents. So there was a study that was done, I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago, on that site and what could be done. There were some estimates. There were some preliminary designs made. So the graphic in your packet shows the entrance where the campground site is, some parking, and that flows through to up towards the elementary school side. So the intent is, if we can secure funding that obviously doesn't impact the operating budget, whether it's capital funding, whether it's from another source, if it's a state or federal money, wherever it could come from. And there are a number of pockets of funding out there that we're I think myself and Michelle and Fran are looking at. But if we can support it, and also this was brought up during the school building committee. So I know they have bond counsel looking to see if the remaining funds that were authorized as part of that initial vote, if this could be part of the scope. So bond council on the town side is looking into that, but if not, if that doesn't come to fruition, then I think we can certainly explore some other funding. So I think that the thought here, and I'm certainly open to, the committee's input, and if this moves forward, I think we would also probably, as part of a broader discussion on future plans, reopen the campground committee. But this is currently under the school department's jurisdiction, this parcel of land, which previously was part of the town, and it got transferred to us some years ago. So the picture in front of you shows kind of the overall scheme, but I think the initial thought is to have just the driveway portion and the paved portion added in, and then maybe perhaps in the future, if funding were available or whatever it may be, then we could look at what to do with the rest, whether it's fields, whether it's putting some kind of structure there, whatever, or a combination of both, whatever it may be. We can take a look at that another time. But I think the thought for now, to address some of the public safety concerns that we've heard, and to, I think, just create a better flow, because this has historically been an issue since the building opened, to see what we could do with just that portion. So that's the thought, is to initially tackle that. And again, want to recognize Michelle for her efforts in taking this on too.
We spent a lot of time walking the campground.
Yep. So yeah, that's just the initial, there's certainly no action at the moment, but I just wanted to inform the committee that these, conversations are starting to happen, and I think probably would be accelerated should something happen or not happen to the old high school. So this is just sort of an initial broaching here, and I don't foresee this impacting the operating budget, because we're seeking, whether it's through the bond or whether it's through state or federal money or grants or whatever it may be, we're certainly looking to be creative with how to support this. So that's the thought.
Excellent. I do think it's certainly worthwhile to look at ways to mitigate the issues that we've been having with traffic, especially in long-term. Obviously, if we're able to progress to talking about the fields improvements, certainly good too. But to get the ball rolling right now on trying to alleviate the pressure of a single entrance for two schools, I think is certainly a great beginning effort, and hopefully certainly hope to have more to report to the committee and the community here very shortly. So thank you all very much.
I just got just looking at this picture here, what is the flow pattern
that we're thinking?
That we're thinking based on this.
So one of the patterns is having the parent drop-offs and pickups. They would come in through the campground entrance, come up and around, and then tie into the back of the school for parent drop-off and parent pickup like they do now. It's a way
middle high school.
For middle high school. It's a way to get these parents off of Old County Road.
So they would merge right over.
They would merge right over, come around. We have staff out there anyway, but
Yeah.
it's a way to kind of get we probably could get a good 45, 50 cars off that road. We have about 100, and this building here is probably about 125, 130 parent pickups and drop-off. Elementary school is probably closer to like 161, in that range. So we're kind of looking at a 2-for-1 here, where we've had to arrange changing the times of pickup and drop-off, and putting all the buses, loading all the kids on the bus, making them sit and wait an extra 5 minutes to try to get them out. And another idea here is to have the student parking in this area, the newer area, so that way we don't have students leaving through the area that the buses and the parents are coming in currently right now, because there's a lot of traffic there, and it is a dangerous area. We've watched it. We've stood on Old County Road and thought, one of these days it's going to be an accident. These kids, new drivers, and there's people in Old County that they just fly by, and it's our fault that they're there. So we really are looking at different options for the elementary school and the middle school, high school, to help keep traffic off Old County.
So obviously the plan for this whole project is traffic, and if we were to basically incorporate, say, 60% of those students back into busing somehow, would that increase the number of buses? Or,
would. It would increase, right now, even, I mean, we have a low fee for transportation, and we only charge 7th through 12th graders.
yeah,
Majority by the 12th graders, they're typically already in a car.
Yeah.
Half of your 11th graders, typically in a car. We provide reduced, if any families qualify, we have about 470 students that are qualify for low income. Those families, if they qualify for any type of low income structure, they receive free transportation. So it's not like we don't provide, like, we work with the families to get them on buses, and we push that and let them know, listen, you could qualify for free transportation, put them on the bus. A lot of it, I think, is parents for middle school, high school don't want the kids getting on the bus at 6:30 in the morning. It's easier, that extra 30 minutes for this age level definitely makes a difference. The kids do not want to be leaving anywhere from till like 7 o'clock. You know, so that, I think, piece helps. The end of the day, it can fluctuate. Like our end of the day, once sports season is going, we have less kids parent pickup. But again, there's so many after-school activities and stuff happening at different times that sometimes it's the traffic coming in for student activities. It's games that are going on, parents coming in to get good spots for the games. Then you've got your staff leaving. So I don't know, it seems, and I don't think we're the only one that faces this problem. I think that many schools are facing the problem of parent pickup and parent drop-offs. Like, there's a huge...
so foreign to me.
Yes, it's such a huge, elementary school the same way. We have the same thing over at the Macomber School. We have like about 176 kids there, and granted, preschool we don't provide transportation for, but you have about 110 parents for kindergarten, and you still probably have about half of them dropping their kids off to school, which on a younger age, I can see that. Like, they want to see the little kids get out, and they want to do all of that, but we have parents and grandparents that will sit up here at 12:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, I see it, I've driven
And
by.
say they've got nothing else to do, so they just come here and sit and read a book. So we encourage them to please don't do that, just because it's also a safety issue to have vehicles against the building that we don't want there, right, too early.
We thought about doing a survey or something, to parents about, money aside, why are you not sending your kid on the bus?
We
did you
have,
get that?
and they go, because we don't want to. Unfortunately, or they'll say, like I said, they don't want to be putting their kids on a bus at 6:30. A lot of them will say, oh, I don't want my kid riding the bus for an hour. I will tell you that the majority of our buses, students are not on for an hour. By 7:14 to 7:16, unless there's an accident or a backup somewhere, all buses are already out front, unloaded by 7:20 the latest. So the first pickup, if it's at 6:30 in the morning, they may be on the bus for 40 minutes.
I mean, if you live in the harbor, it's a different story. but-
Right. Well, bus one, she's pretty quick, so. Val can get you there and back in no time. Yeah, we've done surveys. It's never about the price of the busing, which is why it's something we've never gone up on, and we have not continued to increase, because we had gone up to $250 a year, and then we were afraid that was one of the reasons why people were not putting their students on a bus, and it really had no impact on that at all.
I mean, I have heard that cost of busing has been somewhat of an issue, but one of the other ones was being on the bus for a long period of time,
Right.
the further away you are from the school. That's why I was asking if we would have to put more buses in the circulation, if we somehow almost not mandated, but somehow mandated
Right.
it, that they would have to at least sign up for busing.
The behaviors on the bus.
Yeah, that is a huge deal right now. We have a couple of bus monitors that we have put on to try to mitigate that at this moment. I will work with parents, like if I really know there's a parent that's struggling and is like, I really can't come up with the $200, I will work with them so that they pay a payment plan over a course of time so that it's not an inconvenience for them. Busing, if I have buses that are full, I'll change the bus routes to accommodate the number of buses, so we stay within that, because each bus costs us about $92,000 per bus per year. It is not a cheap task.
Say we all start a bus company.
It costs us $150,000
Which has been an issue statewide.
Yes,
from what
it
I've
is
Continue to hear
huge.
from other
Truly,
committee
yeah.
members around the
Yeah,
state.
it's terrible. But this campground idea is definitely something that we have spent quite a bit of a time looking at, and looking at a long-term plan as well, but phasing it in, and we thought no better way to start the process,
Road
but
definitely makes sense.
yes, definitely, that was a big priority.
And again, just to underline it one more time, we're not talking about an impact to the general budget here.
No.
This is absolutely going after grants and state and federal funding, to
Yes.
achieve this, so. All right, well, that being said, anything further from the committee on this item? All right, excellent. So we'll
Chug
move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the discussion of the school year 2026-27 calendar. So one thing that was sent out, I believe, as part of the informational packet from Dr. Roy earlier, or last week, was information about the attendance of that first week of school, and the historical attendance. So when it was before Labor Day, after Labor Day, for going back, because I know that had been discussed in previous meetings. So with that information, we're still looking at a proposed calendar here that would begin on, school would begin on September the 3rd, which is Thursday. And that would, the first day of school for grades 1 to 12, and then the kindergarten, or the first day for kindergartners at the Macumber would be the 9th. So at this point, any questions, comments from members of the committee at this time?
Are there any changes from the first draft to this?
No.
Okay.
We just provided you additional information.
Yeah, so again, knowing that there had been some discussion about coming in before Labor Day versus after, and the effect it would have not only on the end of the calendar, but on attendance, it did appear that it wasn't a huge difference, and in fact, maybe was actually a little better, I guess, in some aspects after, or starting prior to Labor Day, so.
Well, I guess my question was, I don't know if I'm reading this incorrectly, but the first week and the second week, we're looking at numbers that were, I guess, it was saying that, I guess the yellow, or the year 2022 was the worst year that we had prior to, is that
Yeah.
the way I
Yes.
read the email?
Correct.
But the numbers weren't off that much. I mean, 23, there was 48 absences. 25, there was 42, 39, and then 24 was the best year.
So you have to look at
22,
the,
you have to remember too, that was like, the school calendar was in April, and people already had vacations planned for like Labor Day, so that probably factors into why it was the worst.
Well, that's what my question is, like, what is the first week and the second week? Is that the full second week is the first full week? Or is that?
yeah, so we that's why we have to look at the percentages, because it just depends on the number of days. So when we did the spreadsheet, if the days vary, that's why really the
Yeah.
percentage, the numbers aren't gonna make sense, because it depends on how many days were in that particular week.
Exactly, that's
For
right.
whatever reason. So when you're looking at that second week, if you look at the second week average percent absent, certainly it's clear that in that second week, school year 22 happened to be the worst. And it has improved since, right, to this year being sort of the best year. It is what it is. That's what it's telling us.
All right, any other questions from the committee? All right, hearing none, I would entertain taking Let's see, item B on our action agenda out of order here to approve the school calendar. There's a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Mr. Melnick.
Aye, Fred Melnick.
Ivan Gendro.
Aye, Jason Pacheco.
And I, Christopher Thrasher. All right, so the 2026-27 calendar is ratified. We'll move on now to the, the next item on our informational agenda is the second read of a significant amount of policies. Again, just as a follow-up from our previous meeting, these policies, I believe there's over 200 that have been updated. The vast majority updated due to changes in just language here and there, changes in terminology, nomenclature, also changes with Massachusetts general laws. This is an effort that's been undertaken over several months between the full school committee, the policy subcommittee, and all of these changes have been. We've gone over them several times at this point, so this would be the second read. I would entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of each individual policy, title and letter.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded very quickly, and I appreciate that. Mr. Melnick will take a roll call vote. You begin, sir.
Aye, Fred Melnick.
Ivan Gendro.
Aye, Jason Pacheco.
And I, Christopher Thrash. All right, now having dispensed with the readings, we can move on to the item. The next item actually, well, we'll take it out of. We can take it out of order as well on an action agenda to approve these policies, to approve and implement these policies that are now on their second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Melnick.
Aye, Fred Melnick.
Ivan Gendro.
Aye, Jason Pacheco.
And I, Christopher Thrasher. These policies are hereby implemented. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda, we're moving to the action agenda now. We have two items remaining on the action agenda. First off is a review and act on the job description for the Director of MTSS and Social Emotional Development. And forgive me, I want to make sure that I recall exactly what MTSS.
Multi-tiered systems of support. This is the student support.
I was way
position,
off, so
yeah.
thank you. Okay, I did the second part. I was spot on though. So this has every member of the committee was provided with a job description that again that was part of the informational packet sent by Dr. Roy last week. Are there any comments, statements from the committee?
Yes. So this is just the position itself, not this isn't the funding of the position.
No, right, exactly. This is a new position
Yeah.
to the district, and I still am advocating with the opioid
Okay.
settlement fund committee. And so I would love to share that this is an approved job description with them so that they have a better idea of what we're looking for this position and why we think that that's at least a piece of that funding would be appropriate for them.
And earlier today, we had a special education subcommittee meeting, and we discussed how this particular role would be able to not only bridge a gap, I guess, between our special education students, but also some basically shore up some issues with and making sure nobody falls through the cracks between. So.
Yeah, I mean, and if you asked any teacher right now, what is their biggest concern or headache, they are going to tell you the behavior or this really, and when you translate that to is the social emotional needs of kids, the mental health needs of kids. It is putting more across anywhere in the United States, across probably, certainly the entire world, kids' mental health and their social emotional development, and that's why we put development in there, are hurting. Partly, and there's lots of theories about why, and I think we all see it, but the teachers feel it, and the principals feel it. And we need to equip ourselves, because if kids are not ready socially and emotionally, they're not gonna do well. Their outcomes aren't gonna be where we want them to be. nor are they, you know, when we think about what we're trying to do from a long-term perspective, yes, we want our kids to get into college, yes, we want them to have good careers, but we want them to have healthy, happy lives, right? Fulfilling lives. And so much of that happens when they're young. And we really want to be able to put some coordination to these efforts. And we need a position that sort of does this. It will really round out the work that Ms. Hargraves is doing, the work that Ms. Miranda's doing in special ed. This is sort of a coordinated position to help us round out these needs. Because as a teacher now, you're dealing with all of it. You're dealing with your high achievers, you're dealing with you're dealing with kids who have specialized instruction and specialized needs, and you're dealing with kids who are beginning to disengage from school. And so we're trying to make sure that we support kids and families with this position.
And I would just say, one thing I appreciated about, that was within this job description, this is a very active role. This is not a sit in an office and
Yeah.
write reports. This is very much interfacing with teachers, support staff, families, all the above. So I really appreciate the thoughts that have gone into this. Again, this is not, excuse me, this action item does not deal with the funding of this position. Excuse me, we've been here for a while, I guess now. So,
It's 4, yeah.
yes, indeed, but again, I do think it's a very thoughtful job description, and unless there's anything further from the committee.
I'll make a motion to approve the job description.
Excuse me, sir. It's been moved and seconded, and with that, we'll take a roll call vote, Mr. Melnick.
Aye, Fred Melnick.
Vice Chair, getting tagged in.
Ivan Gendro.
Aye, Jason Pacheco.
And I, Christopher Thrasher, thank you very much. All right, that is approved. Now, I do believe the only items we have remaining are routine correspondence and notices, which I have none.
Minutes.
Oh, did I miss the minutes?
Action
darn.
agenda D.
All right.
Sharon.
One.
All right, item D is to review and act on school committee minutes for Monday, March 9th, 2026. Quickly before I lose my voice. Do I hear a motion?
Moved, please. Sorry.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Melnick.
Aye, Fred Melnick.
Ivan Gendro.
Aye, Jason Pacheco.
And I, Christopher Thrasher. The minutes are approved. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tor.
That was a test, Sharon. You passed again.
All right, next is routine matters. I have no correspondence or notices. Discussion of future agenda items. I do want to mention, we are going to have a special meeting of the school committee in April here. My apologies, when we spoke earlier, Dr. Roy, I said the 22nd. Obviously, that is the week of
School vacation.
School vacation. So we're going to have a special meeting to discuss school choice and reorganization post election day. That's going to be on Wednesday, the 29th.
We're both on the DC trip.
Oh, you're on the DC trip.
Yes.
We're both chaperones.
28, 29, 30, and 1st.
Perhaps we will try.
Can we do it on the 28th on Tuesday or no?
No,
What
he's
about? Can we
gone.
do it on the Monday?
You can.
Are you guys going?
Monday.
You want us to log in from the bus? We'll do
Do it
that.
Monday?
Tuesday, the 20th. Yeah. No.
We leave on Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Monday.
Can you do it Monday?
Can we do it Monday? Is that?
Do you do remote?
Drop off our luggage and attend a meeting. Sounds.
Let's shoot for
Sounds
Monday.
great.
Tentatively Monday. I knew there was a couple people that were interested in that particular item, so I'll make sure they are aware of it as well. But bottom line, we're going to have, so last week of April, we'll have a special meeting. Topics will be school choice as well as the reorganization post-election day. Election day in the town of Westport is next Tuesday, April the 14th. Any other additional agenda items for this special meeting that anyone wants to bring up at this time? All right, hearing none, we are, topics the chair could not reasonably anticipate 48 hours in advance. I have none, and now I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Melnick.
Aye, Fred Melnick.
Ivan Gendro.
Aye, Jason Pacheco.
And I, Christopher Thrasher. We are adjourned at 8:43. 2 minutes ahead of time. That's kind of impressive.
Wow.
All right, thank you very
Oh,
much,
Lori.
everyone.